Imagine looking down at your own hands and seeing that little glowing rectangle clutched between your fingers, that tiny device that you keep sliding into your palm 100 times a day, sometimes without even realizing it. It's like a quiet thief stealing your time, a subtle force that hooks your eyes and your mind and never lets go. Have you ever wondered what it would feel like if, for once, you commanded your phone instead of letting it command you? If you could break free from that invisible tether and reclaim your focus, your creativity, your life? I know you've been there, scrolling and scrolling, feeling both empty and overstimulated, trapped in a loop that feels almost impossible to break. You see it, right? You know what I'm talking about. And I get it. I really do. Because I've been there myself. Do you feel that tension already? Are you ready to face a truth that might sting for a second? I remember when I first realized I was living more inside my screen than in my own head. I woke up every morning, checked notifications before even rolling out of bed, and let others decide what my mind would focus on. Before breakfast, my thoughts were hijacked. Photos, memes, messages, news alerts. I could feel my attention slipping away, piece by piece, and with it my dreams, my goals, the things I really cared about. It felt like drowning in a sea of pointless information, drifting further away from my own desires. Have you felt that too? Do you ever notice how quickly you lose track of time once you start swiping? I know the pain of feeling like a consumer when deep down you want to be a creator, a builder, a producer. It's like standing at a crossroads. One path leads to endlessly consuming what others have made, and the other takes you to a place where you shape your destiny. If you are stuck in the consumer loop, always taking in content, numbing your boredom, feeding cravings, but never building anything of your own, you can't help feeling like something's off. Imagine having 100 tabs open in your mind, all screaming for attention. You keep trying to handle them all, and you get stuck. The world is throwing everything at you. Buy this, watch that, scroll here, like there. You know that you're being tricked when you don't take charge of your life. You're aware that if you don't prioritize what matters, someone else will do it for you. And that never ends well. This chaos is your pain point. It hurts, but it's also the perfect fuel for change. Have you ever asked yourself whose agenda you're really following when your phone pings? The turning point for me was a day I can still picture vividly. I decided to buy a new phone, but instead of loading it up with all the usual social media apps, I left them out. I turned that sleek new device into a tool for work, for creation, for learning. The old phone, the one filled with digital candy, I tucked away in a drawer and only pulled it out after I'd done my most important tasks. It was like rearranging my environment so temptations couldn't sink their claws into me. No more endless feeds to distract me before I wrote my daily goals. Instead, I woke up, looked at a mostly empty home screen, and felt calm, focused. I made it so easy for myself to stay on track that I barely needed willpower. Instead of fighting temptation, I just removed it. What if you did something similar? Can you picture a morning where your phone doesn't dictate your mood? I won't lie and say it's a breeze. It takes a deliberate effort to shift from being a mindless consumer to someone who uses their phone as a tool rather than a toy. But here's a secret. You don't have to do this forever without reward. Just 3 days. 3 days of reclaiming your focus can give you a glimpse of what's possible. 3 days of discipline can shock your brain out of its old patterns and into a new way of functioning. In 3 days, you can start building momentum. Momentum is the key. Once that heavy freight train inside you begins to move, it becomes harder and harder to stop. Even a few minutes each day dedicated to your top goals can transform you. It's a bit like turning a giant rusty wheel. At first, it groans and squeaks, but once it's spinning, everything flows. Would you invest 3 days to change the direction of your entire life? This isn't just me talking. Take it from David Allen, known for his work on productivity and focus. He once said, "You can do anything, but not everything." That single sentence packs a punch, doesn't it? It tells us we need to choose. If we try to do everything, keep up with every app, answer every notification, follow every distraction, we end up stuck, doing nothing meaningful. But if we choose to do something deeply significant, we can truly excel. Think about that. Your phone can be a universe of distractions, or it can be a carefully curated set of tools that serve your top priorities. Which universe do you want to live in? What's one thing you'd accomplish if you had the focus and time you've been giving away to your phone? You might wonder why it feels so hard to let go. It's because these devices, these apps, they're engineered to hook you. Bright icons, infinite scrolls, those little red badges that cry for your attention. They tap into the deepest parts of your brain, the parts hungry for novelty, for social validation, for stimulation. Your mind becomes accustomed to that constant buzz. Cutting off that supply, even for a few hours, can feel uncomfortable. It's like stepping out of a noisy carnival into a quiet forest. At first, the silence can feel unnerving, but give it a moment and you'll find clarity in that quiet. The absence of noise lets you finally hear your own voice, your own thoughts. How would that feel? When was the last time you truly listened to your own thoughts without digital noise? As soon as I stopped letting my phone lead me around, I noticed something extraordinary. Ideas I'd never fully embraced started to bloom. I realized I had dreams and plans buried under layers of social feeds and message threads. I wanted to start writing something meaningful, launch a project that had been sitting in my mind for years, or learn a skill that would enrich my life. Without the constant interruption, I had space to think, to create, to strategize. I started small, 15 minutes in the morning without looking at my phone, then 20 minutes, then 30. Before I knew it, I was carving out real chunks of time to focus on what mattered. Can you imagine what would surface in that newfound mental space? Are you willing to experiment with just one morning free from pointless scrolling? It's not all about cutting off, though. It's about designing your environment. Set priorities and deal first with what has the greatest positive influence on everything else. Maybe that means your health, jogging before checking Instagram. Maybe it means writing a page of your book before checking the news. Maybe it's investing in your career growth before you answer that string of random notifications. By structuring your day so that the important stuff comes first, you make it easier to fulfill your higher purpose. Each time you pick up your phone and see fewer distractions, you'll thank yourself for having created a fortress around your focus. It's like child-proofing a house. Only this time, you're protecting your inner child, that curious, creative part of you that needs room to thrive. What's the one thing you must handle first tomorrow morning to set the right tone for your entire day? When you're serious about pulling away from your phone's grip, consider a little trick. Use browser extensions that block certain sites. Turn off notifications for social apps. Limit your access to anything that doesn't serve your big goals. If you must use them, schedule a short, intentional window of time, rather than letting them seep into every waking moment. Let these guardrails keep you on track. After a few days, your brain adapts. You start to crave something other than the next swipe. You begin to desire progress, growth, a tangible outcome of your efforts. You start acting like a producer, not a mindless consumer. What if you could build a daily rhythm where your phone works for you, not against you? I remember reading about how some high performers handle their phones. They treat their devices like tools. You don't see a carpenter randomly hitting nails all day for no reason. A carpenter has a vision: build a table, a chair, a home. The hammer is a tool that comes out when needed. Likewise, your phone should come out when you need to build something meaningful, not as a reflex every time boredom strikes. It's about reclaiming control. And when you do that, when you put the phone down and pick up your dreams, you suddenly become the driver, not the passenger. Who is in the driver's seat of your life right now? You or your phone? Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi talked about flow, that state of deep focus where time seems to vanish and you do your best work. You can't enter that flow if you're constantly interrupted. Every time your phone buzzes and you glance at it, you break the spell. You lose momentum. If you want to find flow, you have to defend it fiercely. That might mean keeping the phone in another room while you work on something that matters. It might mean turning off Wi-Fi or using airplane mode. Little steps that signal to your brain, right now, we create, we think, we solve. The world can wait. Have you ever tasted that blissful state of flow, and do you long to return to it? You might worry that without constant phone use, you'll miss out on something. Fear of missing out, FOMO, is powerful. But consider the alternative. By obsessively checking your phone, you're missing out on your own life. You're missing out on depth, on mastery, on meaningful connections you could forge face to face. All that superficial chatter can't replace the reward of real accomplishment. If you stop and think about it, which is the greater loss? Which feels scarier? Missing a trivial notification or missing the chance to sculpt your life's masterpiece? When you step away from phone addiction, you become more aware of your surroundings. You notice the silence at dawn, the texture of the air, the subtle emotions behind a friend's smile. You have room to reflect on who you are and who you want to be. You get to ask yourself questions that get drowned in digital noise. What's my purpose? What legacy do I want to leave? What can I create today that will bring me closer to who I wish to become? Can you remember the last time you looked around without a phone and felt fully alive in that moment? Breaking free isn't about hating technology. It's about using it wisely. Your phone can help you track habits, store inspiring quotes, teach you something new, or connect you with mentors. It can help you manage tasks if you're following David Allen's principle and writing things down, freeing your mind for creative thinking. It's not the phone that's evil, it's the pattern of compulsive use. Transform your tool set. Replace junk apps with ones that enrich your life or help you reach your goals. Turn your phone into a productivity partner, not a distractor. If you had to uninstall just one app today to gain back a slice of your focus, which would it be? Think of momentum again. Each time you resist the urge to mindlessly check your phone, you lay one more brick in the foundation of your new habits. One more inch forward. It may feel small at first, but with each successful moment of self-control, your self-confidence grows. You begin to trust yourself again. You learn that you can resist the pull of distraction, that you are stronger than you thought. Over time, your phone's hold on you weakens, and your power to direct your own life strengthens. How would it feel to trust yourself completely when it comes to managing your attention? Let's be practical. Start with 3 days. 3 days where you approach your phone differently. Day 1. Disable notifications for non-essential apps. Move the most addictive icons off your home screen and commit to checking those apps only once in the afternoon. Day 2. Use that extra mental space to define your top goals, just 1 or 2 that matter deeply. Day 3. Spend the time you've saved by not scrolling mindlessly to do something that moves you forward. Write a paragraph of that book. Sketch a business idea. Learn a new skill. After 3 days, notice how you feel. Notice if your thoughts are clearer, if you feel a bit more in control. That taste of freedom can be addictive in the best possible way. Are you willing to test this 3-day reset and see what changes inside you? From there, keep going. Build on that momentum. Each morning, you wake up and act like a producer. You tackle that priority task before letting the digital world intrude. You protect your environment. Just as you wouldn't place a candy jar on every table if you're trying to lose weight, don't place digital candy where you can't resist it. Make it frictionless to do what matters and full of friction to do what wastes your time. Overwhelm disappears when you stop trying to do everything and start doing the right things, one at a time. This is how you step out of the consumer trap and into the producer's role. Can you visualize that moment when your phone no longer controls you and you use it only with purpose? Life will keep throwing distractions at you. There will always be another viral post, another message, another game to try. But once you taste the sweetness of real focus, it becomes easier to say no. You'll see through the illusions. You'll value depth over noise, progress over novelty, mastery over mindlessness. Your time on this planet is too precious to spend hunched over a screen, letting it drain your potential. You deserve better. You deserve to craft your life's work, to be the one who calls the shots. What will you create with your newly recovered time and energy? So, don't let your life slip through your fingers. Reclaim it. You already know what to do. You already know what's at stake. Put the phone down. Pick up your destiny. Make those 3 days count. Once you begin, you'll never want to go back. In a world screaming for your attention, you'll be the one standing calm, confident, and in control. Will you step up and choose your path? Or will you let your phone choose it for you? No need to replay everything that got you here. Just trust what you feel right now. A spark, an urge to change, a hunger for something more real. Feel that. Good. Hold on to it. And when you're ready for another jolt of insight, watch the next video called 7 Hidden Lessons from the World's #1 Life Coach. You can't afford to miss it, because once you've tasted freedom from your phone, you'll want to fuel your journey even further. This next step will open your eyes to principles that can elevate your entire existence. Don't let this be a fluke. Keep building that momentum. Keep feeding your mind the right way. Go ahead, seize this moment. Your future self is waiting.